Is it better now? You are an absolute lifesaver. Lifesaver. Can't even spell correctly. Thank you, super ambition. Oh, I read it super ambition, as in ham. All right. Okay, so Amazon SQS. That's not what we want. What we want is DynamoDB. So let's go back. Data lifecycle, DevOps Guru, DynamoDB. There we go. Boom. Amazon DynamoDB, and we want all services. No. We'll stick to that. Alright, so for the actions, we'll select all actions, and the Amazon resource name. So that's the ARN. Actually, let's just copy this so we can submit the form. We're going to change this because we will pull the Amazon resource name from Terraform because where is it? Our DynamoDB table, I think it returns a nope, that's not what we need. Okay, we can close this. We can close that too. This is what we struggled with yesterday. Boom. We'll keep this just in case. We need this. We don't need this. Okay, there we go. So let's go check DynamoDB table. DynamoDB table and attribute ARN. So when we create a table, it returns a ARN, which we can then use and which we will use. So that's good. Let's go back, create add statement. You have a following statement, click the button to generate a policy. Boom, and this is what we have. So we'll do this, and then what we want to do is we want to create a policy. So let's go back to the registry, to documentation. Let's do policy. Okay, AIM policy, AIM role policy. Boom. All right, so that's what we want. Let's copy this. Okay, let's copy this. Yep. And we'll paste. Oops, nope, that's not what we want. Okay, we'll paste that. Okay, so we'll call this DynamoDB policy. We'll call it again DynamoDB policy, and this is going to be let's see if we have, yep, so AWS IAM role dot ID. Hang on, is this? Yep, so it was role ID. So the syntax is resource and then the resource dot name dot attribute. So in our case, let's just go, we called it so the resource AWS IAM role, we called our resource nofacenocase Lambda role, and we'll pull the ID like that. Okay, and then this is the JSON that we need to pass. So instead of this, so we'll delete whatever is inside of here, and then we'll copy where were we? And we will copy this and we will paste it here. We'll do a bit of actually, let's see if we can do TF format. Let's do cd infra. Let's do TF format. Or FMT, is it Terraform FMT? Yep, it worked. Okay, so for the resource now, we don't need the resource to be hard coded. We will pull it from the attributes. So we'll do, so what do we call it? So AWS DynamoDB table. So AWS DynamoDB table dot what did we call it? Noface table dot arn. Strangely enough, oh, I think it's var. Oh no, we can no, we don't need var. We can essentially just reference it by name like so. So that's great. Okay, now let's see. Let's try. Let's do TF plan and see if we've made any mistakes. It's taking a long time. Oh no, doesn't look like it. Let's. Okay, so that's the function and the policy. DynamoDB policy. Yep. All right. Cool. Let's then TF apply. I think we've been logged out of AWS. Let's see. Where am I? All right, let's go. AWS.amazon.com. Sign in. Oh, okay. Well, I'll sign in and I'll come back in a sec. Okay, so we're on the console now, and let's go to DynamoDB and check. So tables, we don't have no tables. Let's do Lambda. Actually, let me add DynamoDB to the favorites, and let's do this for API gateway too. Alright, so we can access them. So Lambda functions, we don't have any functions. So now we'll TF apply. And we'll do auto approve because we've already ran TF plan. And it is going to create. Okay. Good. So now, if we go back here and we refresh, we should have our function. Yep, that's good. And let's go to DynamoDB and tables, and we have our table provision. So that's good. Okay, so all right, so that's one thing done today. Now we need to create the API gateway resources, and we need to integrate with the existing Lambda. So let's go back. So this is the part that we need to do. We need to create the Lambda and then add the method and stuff like that, so that this can trigger the Lambda. Because if you remember, if we go back to the code base, what was the handlers? Our Lambda function handler takes in an API gateway proxy request, and it returns an API gateway proxy response. So so we'll need to and the way we tested it, if we go back, if I actually go back, where are we? Yep, let's go back to Lambda. When we tested it, we created a sample. So we triggered it with API gateway AWS proxy. So we ran the test and it succeeded. Obviously we don't want to have to do this all the time. So what we want to do is we want to be able to create an API gateway resource, and then so we want to create a REST API. Let's see if we can do this. Okay. Welcome to everything. To create first API, we have pre-populated the import form of the pet store API defined using the to get started. Close this model and select import in the create API form. Nope. We'll create a new API and then we'll add a description. Of course, we need to. Actually, we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that. Let's see. Let's actually create a fake API first. So let's do no face test. We'll delete it afterwards. And this is a test API gateway API. Regional, we'll leave it at that. We'll go create API. Okay. Actions. I create method. I think so. Create a resource. Interesting. Use this page to create a new child resource. Oh no, because okay, no, let's just oops. Hang on. Let's go back. Alright, let's do method. Let's do any. Okay, so integration type is going to be Lambda function. Use Lambda request will be proxied to Lambda with request details available in the event of your handler function. Yes, absolutely, that's what we want. Lambda function, so EUST1. I've chosen EUST1. And the Lambda function, provide the Lambda function name or alias. You can also provide an ARN from another account. We'll call it, I think ours. Yep. So we have a pre-populated field, so that's good. Let's call save. You are about to give API gateway permission to invoke your Lambda function. Okay. So we do this. So client. So integration request, and then the Lambda, and then boom, boom. All right. Okay. Great. So where's the URL for our where is the URL for our close? Let's close that. No, what is this? Okay, client. Use a test page to preview your configuration changes and test your API directly from the API Gateway console. The input you configured is not publicly available until you deploy the configuration changes. Okay, but I would like to in the method. Okay, method request body. No, great. Integration request. What is this? So we've already done this. Method request, API required, no. Query string, no. Request headers, no. Oh, there's going to be the issue of actually no, we won't have to worry about course because the client will be done. Essentially, it will be in a CLI client, so we won't need to worry about that. But how do we deploy the thing so that we can get a URL? Stages, we don't have stages. Authorizers, we don't have that. Gateway responses, nope. Resource policy, resources, authorization none, not required. Great. So can we, is there oh, deploy API. Good. API actions, deploy API. All right, let's do it. Deployment stage, new stage. Stage name is going to be, oh, I guess we have to create a stage then. Production. No, we'll do test. And stage description, this is a test run. Deployment description, doing this so we can understand how it works before we fuck it all up in Terraform. Deploy. Okay, so this is our invoke URL. Okay, so let's copy this, and now presumably if we curl this, yep, we get our response back. We get our response back. Okay, so we've done it. And so essentially what we'll do now is we'll create this in Terraform, and what's going to happen is after that we'll get a URL, and if we go back to the diagram, we will essentially use root 53 to sort of create a record that will essentially take our domain name, which I haven't bought yet, but we'll create a hosted zone and blah blah, and then from there we will manage. We'll sort of create a record in root 53 to point to our API gateway, so that we don't have to type this ugly URL. Where is it? This one, the API AUS blah blah. We'll have something, sexy like API dot nofacenocase.xyz. So hopefully this is gonna work. Let's see, logs tracing. We don't care about logs. Don't care about variables, exports, deployment history, canary. Okay, cool. So it seems simple enough if we can remember the steps. So let's go back to API gateway and see how many APIs we have. Okay, so we have. Okay, cool. Now let's go to. Let's find Terraform. Let's type in API gateway. Okay, API gateway deployment. So we'll need that. Integration, we'll need that too. Method, we'll need that too. Resource, we'll need that too, I think. And REST API. Alright, so manages an API gateway REST API. The REST API can be configured by importing blah 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 with other arguments serving as overrides, or by other Terraform resources to manage the resource. Okay, so gateway resource. Oh, okay. So we can either create an open API specification and use that, or we can use okay, so an API gateway resource, an API gateway method, an API gateway integration, and then once the REST API is configured, the API gateway deployment resource can be used along with the API gateway stage to publish the REST API. Okay, so this is exactly what we've done, but we clicked on the GUI instead. Alright, so this is the Open API specification. we're not going to worry about that. Although we have a full example of so we create the API first, right? And then we create the deployment and the stage, but we're not going to do this. We'll deployment ID, REST API ID. Nope. Okay, so open API. I don't care about that. Terraform resources. Okay. So we create the resource. We create the REST API first. Then we create the API gateway resource. Then we create the API gateway method. All right. Then the integration, and then the deployment, and then the stage. All right. So that's fine. We'll do that. And I guess we could have many stages. So one for staging, one for production, one for dev, QA, or something like that. So, all right, cool. Let's see if we can copy all this. Now let's do it one by one so we can sort of walk through the whole process. Okay. Hi, XYFM. If you're not a bot, come say hi. Okay, so we'll create a new section. I mean, this is going to get very long as a file, so we're going to have to. I know Terraform has a way of sort of organizing files into. I think it reads. It doesn't actually have. I think packages like Go, but you can create different files and then separate everything. Yeah, keep things separate and tidy. So we'll do that. But first, we'll do epoch. Before I do this, let me. All right, so I've made a few notes, so that's good. Now let's create API gateway. Just like that. Good. Okay. Perfect. So now we'll copy this. And so it's going to be no face API. And then it's going to be no face, no case API. So we have a name. Let's see what else we have. Let's go to REST API attributes. No, arguments. Body description. So the name, the policy, tags, name. I saw description. Yep. Optional description of the REST API. If important, open API specification by the body argument. This corresponds to the info.description field. If the argument value is provided and is different than the API, the open API value, the argument value will override the open API value. Okay, so we'll use this. Why not? We'll add a description. And we'll say API. API gateway no face no case .xyz. I guess we'll have API no face no case .xyz, and then maybe we'll develop a basic sort of static site on GitLab, and then I think it's called GitLab Pages. Is this still a thing? Yep, cool. So we'll have a very basic HTML and CSS page, with instructions on how to install the package and everything else, and interact with the API. So that's good. And maybe a demo or something like that. We'll see. All right, so we have the description, so that's good. So next in line is the API gateway resource. All right, let's go back. Okay, so we'll call this noface API. Noface API root. And this is going to be the noface API. All right, and so the parent ID was going to be AWS API gateway REST API dot noface API root dot root resource ID, right? And the path part, what is this? I think it's proxy, right? I've seen it. I think I've seen it somewhere. Let's go back. I remember looking at examples, and I think it was something like proxy or something like that. Maybe we should create a resource. Oh, hang on, but we didn't do that. You can add path parameters using brackets. For example, the resource path username represents a path parameter called username. Configuring proxy plus as a proxy resource catches all requests to its sub resource. For example, it works for get request to foo, to handle requests to slash, and add any new any method on the slash resource. Yep, I knew I'd seen something like that. So boom, we can do that there. Okay, REST API ID. Well, I think it's going to be AWS API. Yep, the noface API root dot. Hang on, was it ID? Yep, so it's the regular ID. All right. Okay, dot ID. Let's do TF plan and see if it actually works. Okay. 910. Oh, we didn't save. Okay, so it works. Well, I mean, we don't have any errors, so that's good. Okay, so we have the resource. I understand that. So we have the resource, and then we can sort of set up rules for that resource or path, I guess. So that's going to be slash. But suppose we had, let's say we created a new resource. I don't know, let's call it I don't know, if we had users, it would be slash users, right? And if we create a resource, I think, oh yeah, okay, so we had, let's say, okay, let's create another one. Maybe we have, nope, let's go back to the root. Let's do create resource. Let's call it auth. Maybe we had auth endpoint, and then we would have auth blah blah blah, and then from there we can do the method any, and then users any. All right, but because we don't need this, we can essentially just delete the resource, so everything will be done in the root. And so, okay, So now that we have the resource, we have to create the method. So where are we? Yep. All right, so now we have to create the method like this. Boom. Nope. Nope. There we go. All right, so create the method, and it will essentially what we're gonna do, because of course we're gonna have we're only our users are not gonna be able to delete. They're not going to be able to delete nodes, so they will only be able to create and retrieve a node by ID. So we will have get and post methods, and we could realistically sort of come here and then create a method for get like that. Yep, and then create a method for post, right? But what we'll do instead is we will, because if I remember correctly yesterday when we played around with this, we could I think we could do request.http method, right? So we can pull the method and then say and have sort of a switch case. That's, well, not really a switch case, but because we'd only have two cases to handle, but we'd have something like if method is equal to get by ID, else if method is equal to post, create a new node, or something like that. So instead of having to create two different Lambda functions, because if we do this, if we do it like this, we would have to create a function, a Lambda function, a separate function for each method, if I'm not mistaken. But irrespective of I think it'd be overkill. So we'll just leave it at any, and then handle the HTTP method in the Lambda function itself. So we'll delete that. We'll delete the post before I forget. Okay, so that's that. So we'll go back to Terraform, and we'll call it noface API method. The HTTP method is going to be any. We don't require authorization for this one. Maybe we'll work on projects in the future that will, but for now we're good. Let me adjust the webcam. Let's see. About. All right. So resource ID and the REST API ID. All right. So the resource is noface API, and the REST API ID is the noface API root. So this is going to be noface API root.id, and this is going to be noface API .id. And again, we'll do tfplan to see if it works. Okay, so no errors. Good. Okay. Great. So we have no errors. Let's move on. So we have the method. Now we need to create the integration. So the integration is this essentially. It's that. So the thing we create, integration type Lambda. You use Lambda proxy integration. We'll set the region, the Lambda function name. So so let's do this. Where are we? Yep. All right. And I think, let's see. Let's copy this. We'll call it no face API integration. All right, so HTTP method is going to be the no face API method, not HTTP method. Resource ID is going to be no face API. REST API ID is going to be no face API root, and the type, it's not mock, so it's something else. Let's go to integration argument, the type. Okay, type require integrations input, integration inputs type, valid values are HTTP, mock, not calling any real backend, AWS for AWS services, AWS proxy for Lambda proxy integration. There we go. So AWS proxy, which checks out because this is what we get, this is what we expect here. Events.api gateway proxy request. And then let's see, is there anything else? Pass-through behavior when no match, blah blah blah. Is there any example here? Integration, request templates, nope. Let's see, Lambda, oh, Lambda integration, there we go. Okay, so integration, HTTP method post type, and the URI, of course, of the oh, we need to create a Lambda permission too. Okay, well, we'll copy this. We'll copy both of these. We'll copy both of these. Hey, Wreckface, how you doing? And we'll paste them. All right, so so the URI is going to be AWS Lambda. So Lambda function. Nope, that's not that. AWS Lambda function. Dot invoke on. Okay, so now we can get rid of this. We don't need the HTTP method. Actually, let's add it, and let's go with any because we set it to any. So we'll do that. Now we can get rid of this. Okay. And the permission. All right, so no face Lambda permission. So allow execution from API gateway, action this, and the function name is going to be no face Lambda func. Principal is going to be this, and var my region and my account ID. What's my account ID? I have no idea. Source on. Well, that's going to be EU West 1. Let's see if I have a variables.tf. Let's actually create no face AWS region. Type is string, and the default is going to be EU West 1. All right, let's go back. So what did we call it? No face AWS region. No face AWS region. Okay. Whoa. All right. That's a lot of stuff. So no face. So account ID. So AWS API Gateway REST API dot. Let's see. I think it's the root. What did we call it? No face API root. Yep. All right. Let's just go through one line by line. So we've got the account ID, which we'll pull at some point. This is going to be the root ID. The method is no face API method, right? And then API gateway resource dot no, so that's no face API. We call it that, and the path. All right. So we should be good. So the region is this, the account ID. Let's click on this link. Let's copy that. Please tell me you're copying. All right, good. What? Oh. Okay, so it's not working. Can I copy? Is it Control-Shift-C? Let's see. Nope. Alright, so we're gonna have to API gateway control access using IAM policies. Alright, so API gateway control access to invoke API. Is this the link we need? Yes, it is. Good. All right. Control can call API gateway method with IAM policies. So region, account ID, API ID. The stage will. That's going to be all stages. Method HTTP verb and resource path. Okay, so how do I find my account ID? How do I find my account ID? And is it? Oh, hello. Well, there we go. Please don't hack me. All right, so we'll call it Fisher account ID. Fisher account ID, and so we'll do variable, no face. Nope, no, we'll call it Fisher account ID, type string, and default is going to be this. I mean it had dashes, so this is a bit weird. Why did it not copy the dashes? All right, we will trust Amazon. Can't believe I just said this, but okay, so let's go back. So the permission, we've created a permission, we've created the integration. Now, I don't know why. Do we even need this? Because if we go back to REST API, Terraform resources, we created the integration, the deployment, and the stage. So we didn't really need a permission. But you know what? We'll create that. Actually, let's comment this out. Ooh. Let's comment this out. Why is it complaining? Oh. Alright, do you know what? We'll just delete it for now. And so we'll do the integration. Another deployment. We'll copy this. Let's see what this is about. So we'll do noface API deployment. Please excuse the police sirens outside, if you can hear them. AWS API Gateway REST API noface API root.id. Great. Note, the configuration below will satisfy ordering consideration but not pick up all future REST API changes. More advanced patterns are possible, such as using the file SHA-1 function against the Terraform configuration, or remove the ID references to calculate a hash against whole resources. Be aware that using whole resources will show difference after the initial implementation. Resources will show difference after the it will stabilize to only change when resources change afterwards. I have no idea what is going on here, but I will satisfy. Okay, so we'll do the resource then. So this is going to be noface API. The method, AWS API Gateway method, we called it noface API method, and the integration is just above. So we'll do noface API integration.id. All right, and then for this we'll create the stage, and so the deployment is going to be noface API deployment. The rest this is going to be root, and stage name is going to be, let's call it noface no case. Now let's just call it production, whatever, because we're not gonna have a staging environment for this, so this is just going to be production. Although we could create another one, and then in root 53 we could create a subdomain record for maybe we can have a dev stage and a production stage, and then we would have dev dot whatever API dev dot noface.xyz, nofacenocase.xyz, and then if everything works we push to production. So yeah, in fact, let's add a task, create a CI CD pipeline on GitLab for automated deployments. Okay, so we've been writing code for a long time now, So let's see. Let's do a TF plan and see where we are. Okay, so we have not made any mistakes. I find this weird, but you know what? Hey, maybe we're just that good. So let's do TF apply. Actually, before we do anything, let's go back to console. Let's go to API gateway, and we'll delete our API gateway, no face test. So we'll do delete, permanently delete no face test API. This action can't be undone. Clients will no longer be able to reach its endpoint. Yep. Delete. All right. So let's do. Let's do TF apply now. TF apply. Auto approve. I have a feeling that this is just gonna. No, it did not. All right. This is interesting. Let's go back. Click on APIs. Wow. Okay. Well, this is interesting. Let us actually go back to the REST API and attributes and execution. Okay, so the REST API gives us the ARN, but we don't need that. We need the actual hang on, what was that? Yeah, so we need the actual oh, it's the deployment. Let's go back. Let's find the deployment. Yeah, manage the API. Deployment is a snapshot of REST API configuration. The deployment can then be published to callable endpoints by the let's see the attributes, the invoke URL. And I think we can do output, right? Let's do Terraform output. Terraform output values. Variable, okay, blah. Output values are quite helpful in certain use cases. We can expose information from child modules to a parent module. Yeah. Even more, from a root module, we can print outputs in the command line or pass these output values to external systems for automation purposes. Let me check something really quickly. Let me just hang on. The webcam is a bit too big. Now it's too small. Move it around just a bit. Let's make it a tad bit smaller. Hopefully just a tiny bit. There we go. All right. Good. Yeah, it's good. It's perfect. Okay, so output values. Declaring and using output values. In order to define output value, you have to use the output block. Okay, so description, blah. Okay, so that's the syntax. So let's do this. And I suppose we can call it whatever we want. So we'll do. Let me copy this. Like that. And let me do output. And so we'll do output invoke URL. I guess noface API URL. The description, we don't need the description. We don't need a description, we'll just do value. And it's going to be AWS API gateway deployment. Noface API deployment dot invoke URL. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, blah, let's examine how we can we define Terraform, blah, bleed blue. Okay, great. These are the outputs. Yeah, how do we access them? Oh my god. Oh, okay, so it gives you the output at the end. Yeah, okay, great. So now let's do tf apply, and I presume that nothing's going to change because we've not made any changes to the infrastructure itself, but we should get the noface API URL. And so if we copy this and we do curl this, and then we do HTTPS, we actually just copy this. Message forbidden. That's interesting. Message forbidden. Huh. Oh. Hang on. Let's verify something. Let's go back here. The invoke URL. Where is it? What's deployed? So we don't. Hang on, is it not deployed? No, it absolutely is deployed. So let's see. Let's find out where it is. Because we called it something, right? Stages, did we? Okay, so we have a production stage, great. Oh, and it's /stage. Let's see. Okay. So let's do /production. Missing authentication token. What are you on about? We are not. Hang on. What? Authorizers. We don't have authorizers. Let's go to resources. Any auth none. Stages. Okay, we have that. Gateway responses. Nope. Settings. Default endpoint, content encoding, blah. It's regional. Maybe that's the problem. API key switches in. Okay, header. Default endpoint. The default execute API endpoint generated blah, blah, to allow clients to access API by using custom domain name. Disable the default endpoint. This is an API level setting and affects all stages of the API. Okay, we've enabled that. We don't need an API key for the authorizer because we're not using authentication. API keys, no we don't. Client certificates, we don't have any. Settings, nope. Usage plans, nope. Okay, let's go back. Try again. Maybe it was the nope. Missing authentication token. That's very interesting. Alright, API gateway. Missing authenticate. Oops. Missing auth. God. API gateway. Missing authentication token. The API request is made to a method or resource that doesn't exist. The API request isn't signed when the API method has AWS identity and access management authentication turned on. The API might be configured with a modified gateway response, so the response comes from backend integration. Confirm that there's a method and resource configured in the API gateway resource path. Well, actually, let's see. Let's figure this out. So type lambda proxy, boom, boom, lambda function, use lambda proxy integration, blah, 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 invoke with caller credentials, use default timeout. Nope, this is exactly what we had before. Method request, let's see. API key required false, so we don't need any authorization. We don't require requests, headers of any kind. Okay. Is it? Let's see. Is it this? Can I do this? Internal server error. Yeah, no, so it's this. All right. This is API key not required. So why is it not picking up? Is it the? Do we actually need the permission? I think we do. Oh, I think. Oh, okay. Because when we clicked, when we did the setup on the GUI, I think it said something about creating a permission or whatever, a role. So maybe that was that. So let's go back to the deployment. Yeah, let's actually go back. So that's the deployment. Where is it? Is it permission? No. Lambda. AWS Lambda permission. Usage with SNS. Yep. That's the one. Okay, statement ID. But I don't like that. So let's go back to REST API. We'll go back. This is what we had. Let's do Lambda execution ARN to be used in Lambda permissions source ARN. All right. Okay. Ooh. Is this name arbitrary? Allow. No, it doesn't look like it. Okay, so it has to match the name, I guess. I think, by the looks of it. So let's copy this again. And let's try it. Let's actually try it. Let's see. So okay, allow invoke function name is going to be AWS Lambda function dot ID, I think. It doesn't have names, so it's going to be, I think it's going to be ID. Let's see. Okay, statement ID. Maybe it has to be camel case. No face, no case, invoke, blah, blee, blue. All right, so the source rn dot my demo API dot execution rn. Okay, so this is going to be the root. Invoke function. Okay, well, let's try that. Let's do tf plan. I suppose it's gonna work. Let's see if we've made any mistakes. Nope. Let's do tf apply auto approve and see if this actually works. Looks like it could be that. Okay. So, all right, let's see. Let's do curl this. Nope, it doesn't work. It does not work. So it wasn't the function. Okay, well, let's try. Let's try to hard code the thing. No face, no case. And I think the statement ID. But we had a different example of this, because this is not the one I had copied earlier. So let's see. We had API gateway. Where did we find API gateway? REST API. Hang on. API gateway. REST API. Oh, that was the integration, I think. Integration, my demo integration, Lambda integration. There we go. Okay, so we created the integration. Great. And that was this. Yep. There we go. Let's go back and see. Right, allow execution from API gateway, invoke function. So this is gonna be no face lambda func dot function name. Oops. Dot function name. And so this is gonna be no face AWS region. Let's try. Well, let's actually try this first. Let's copy that. So we have the noface IP root, blah blah blah. All right, I think we're good. But as a good measure, let's do source arn. I just want to see if it actually finds it. So AWS API gateway REST API this dot execution arn. All right, so that's correct. So we can paste it and do tf plan. Oh, hang on, we can now delete this because we don't need it. Also, we'll create call it noface lambda permission. Right, just to make things clear. TF plan. Okay. Cool. And then we can do TF apply auto approve. I have a feeling that this is gonna, okay. And so presumably if we do this now in production, nope, it's not working. What the hell? What the bloody hell? Account ID, API gateway this. Well, let's actually pull that. Let's go noface execution arn, and we'll essentially just do API gateway root execution arn. I want to see if it matches the format that's expected. So yes, blah, blee, blue, and then there's that. Okay. And so what then? Hang on. Oh, so then we need to copy this. Let's see. Hang on, what? So API gateway, API ID. So we have this, right? So that's the ID. And so whatever's after the ID, we'll copy. We'll copy and paste. All right, so what we need is the method. So noface API method, and the resource is going to be noface API. Right. Let's try that. See where it gets us. TF apply auto approve. Also, that's not what we needed, but let's see. Because what we had, so this is the everything. Oh, hello. Oh, okay, so we created a replacement. Let me come back in a bit. so the thing ran without errors. So let's hopefully see if it works now. Nope, it does not. It does not. Let's investigate why. Let's go to Google for this because DuckDuckGo sucks. So AWS API Gateway, missing authentication token, Terraform. Alright, so method response default. But we don't need it. Do we need to create a response? No way. No. However, when I try to call the endpoint, I get a 4.3. After every new resource method added changed, you must... What? Stage description. Hang on, what did we do wrong? Let's go back to his integration though. Okay, that's his integration, but there is no... The method is clearly configured with authorization none, and I can trigger from the API Gateway console without issue. Actually, let's try that. I haven't even tried this. Let's go back. Let's go to Lambda. Let's go my functions. No face, no case. Let's do a test. Triggers. Could not be found. Oh, hello. Have an integration. Does not include a resource with path / any proxy plus. Also, we messed up the resource, it seems. It messed up the resource. Let's go back to Stack Overflow. Where were we? Where's his resource? Okay, get my method, blah. So let's go to resource then. Path part, my demo resource. Last path segment of this API resource. Now we use the proxy. So this is actually what we needed. So no, it's set up correctly. It's set up correctly. So right, let's destroy it. Let's do tf destroy. And what is this about? Having to redeploy every time. Terraform creates a deployment once and never updates it because none of its data changes. I have found a workaround to this. So a new deployment needs to be created on every resource change, so we do it outside of Terraform. I tell its stage to ignore the deployment ID property so that Terraform won't show changes where there aren't any. In order to create a new deployment, I simply added this command to my makefile deploy target. auto approve, AWS target, AWS API gate, create deployment. This creates a new deployment of my REST API for the given stage. I'm sure there are better ways of maybe doing this entirely in Terraform, but they elude me at the moment. Here's a better way to do it. So you create a deployment pet shop, stage description, so the REST API ID. This saves you from redeploying every minor change, and will only be triggered by changes in the API gateway.tf file. Problem is that I've defined a bunch of files to split things up a bit. Is there a way to SHA someone? I'm not sure I pointed to the file deployments defined. Do we actually? Oh god. Alright, well let's just try and recreate the whole thing and see if it works first. And then we'll figure out why it sort of doesn't work. Maybe we'll try this then. Yeah. This saves you from redeploying on every minor change and will only be triggered by changes in the API gateway TF. Let's see. Okay. So we have that. Now we can do curl SSL. I'll copy this and we can do production. Nope. It's just not working. That's forbidden. I am clearly missing something, but I don't know what exactly. Missing authentication token. So the method works. I mean, everything works. It's just so weird. Let's go back. Actually, the Lambda would have changed by now because we created it. But let's just see. Okay, the API with ID does not include blah. Let's copy this. So the path part, that's incorrect. Notice the double quotes. Okay. Please don't tell me that is about the double quotes. It can't be this. It can't be this stupid. Alright, let's try that. Let's see. I refuse to believe that this is. This is actually the case. Yeah. So what's the problem? Single quotes are not values, double quotes. Oh. Except the problem is now notice the double quotes, proxy plus. Let's do Terraform API gateway proxy plus. No, so the path part works. So that's not the problem. Type should be AWS proxy for AWS, and integration HTTP method should always be post, even if the HTTP method is get or any or anything. Oh, hello. We did post. All right, fine. Now let's CF apply and see if that fixes it. And then we'll try and then we'll try to curl again. Nope, it does not work. So let's destroy thing, because apparently we have to redeploy. So we'll destroy everything, and then we will reapply. 3, 2, 1, go. Let's see. Let's see if actually we can get anywhere with this. All right. So let's go back. Copy this. Let's curl. Message forbidden. Production. God, what the hell? Integration HTTP should always be post for Lambda proxy integration, even if the HTTP method is get or any. Okay. Let's go back. Functions. No face, no case. Does not include a resource. On the any method. What are you on about? I mean, we did that. Does not include a resource with path. Blah blah. Any proxy having an integration on. So maybe this is the permission. Is there a problem with the permission? All right, let's forget about this. Oh, hang on, is this a typo? Yes, it is a typo. I cannot believe. No. TF auto approve, apply. If that's the problem, I am going to eat pork. Let's see. Let's destroy the thing first. Okay, let's refresh. See if we have any more triggers. Let's go to test. And let's click on this. Oh, hello. So, okay. But then, so the trigger works, right? But why is it saying missing authentication token? I don't know. Hello? Oh, it works now. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Okay. So we fixed it. But what I don't understand is let's see. Because now it's completely arbitrary. Right? Let's see notes. Oh, okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna change this. I'm gonna change the resource from proxy plus. Or is it proxy plus? I'm gonna change that to proxy plus. We'll change this to notes instead. Because that's what we want. Essentially, we want the final API call to look something like https api.nofacenocase.xyz/notes, like this. Yeah. And this, okay, so sorry, slash, yeah, notes. So this is essentially going to point to https id blah.aws amazon aws.com slash production, right? And then we'll be able to call it like so. No face, no case. .xyz slash notes. Now, presumably, if we curl again, but this time we say hello, we actually get a response. What? Let's go back to the Lambda function. Now let's go to API gateway. Please don't tell me you have to redeploy the thing. Please don't tell me you have to redeploy the thing. Oh boy. Nope. Oh, so it was created inside. Okay, so hang on. So then it's gonna be slash notes slash notes slash. No, I don't like this. I don't like this. Let's just see. Edit resource documentation. Let me just delete the resource. Oh, we can't do that. All right. But I mean, this still gives us okay. We do X, we get this. but that's not good. That is not good. What we want is I guess we're gonna have to have a catch-all. I don't know. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it. Can we? Is there a way to? Let's see. Gateway responses. Because that's notes, but the problem is what bothers me is that essentially anything here can trigger the function, right? And I don't like that. I don't like this. I want this to be rejected. I want this to be rejected. So I don't know. How are we going to do this? Is it going to be in the code? So should we do it? Should we, for example, test in the code like this and say if the path is not equal to /nodes, then return a 404. I don't like that, but we may have to. AWS API gateway resource catches all. Trying to use API gateway Lambda to perform the redirect. Now supports catch all path variables. Full detail walkthrough. You can create a resource with path, like + is important. Then in your Lambda function, you can access the value with both event.path, always contains the full path, or event.path parameters.thepath, contains the path defined by you. Other possible use case to find resources like images to only match paths with a certain prefix. The variable will only contain the subpath. You can debug all the values passed to your function with json.stringify event. This doesn't work for me when attempted to update the resources path part only allow incalibrates at the beginning and the end. Yep, this doesn't seem to match the base URL. If you want to match the path without the wildcard param, you need to define a separate handler for them. In examples above, for the /images. By the way, it seems that serverless offline changes +2. Okay. You can create a resource with path variable param, and you can treat this as a wildcard path handler. Okay, so it looks like we're gonna have to do it in the code. It looks like we're gonna have to do it in the code based on my research. All right. Well, I mean, we have it working, so that's good. I think that's good enough. So for now, I mean, we've done everything except what? Let's go back. Boom. Oh God. Can we? Thank you. All right. So the API gateway resource integrate with existing Lambda. So we've done this. We know that it works. And so I think we're just going to leave it at that for today. And then tomorrow we will actually dive into the code itself. We'll dive into the code and we'll start writing the model and the controllers. So we'll have the get by. Actually, let's just list the features now. So let me create a controllers file. Let's do handlers. Let's do controllers slash controllers slash. Should we leave in? Let's do handlers. Controllers .go. Should we have a one file per one function per file? No, let's just do controllers, and then we'll do get by ID, get note by ID .go, and then we'll add another one. Create note.go. Like this. Really quickly, I'm just gonna do package controllers, and then we'll do func get note by ID. Whoops. All right. And then what was the other one? Let's create note. Do package controllers, func create note. Right. And just to be sure, let's see if we can do controllers dot. Okay, cool. So the import system works. So LSB isn't is cooperating now, as opposed to yesterday where it was just being a dick. Okay. So we'll. Okay, so this will create a node. Create a node. Save it to the DB, and then we will not return anything. Essentially, we'll just return 201. Actually, no. We need to return new nodes UUID. We'll create a new nodes UUID, and then I think that's what it's going to be. Yep. To be accessed at base URL / nodes / ID. And my intuition tells me, based on the comments we've seen on Stack Overflow, that we'll need to do something like that. That is my intuition. In fact, let's try it. Let's try and do it. Let's do curl this and then that. Okay, so still works. This is just super weird, but maybe I will ask on Reddit or Discord. I'll find, I think I'm part of the AWS Discord group, so I'll ask there. And yeah, so we've done everything. Hey, no Yane Rain, how you doing, man? Okay, so the create note function is, so this will take the body and everything else, so we'll extract the body. We'll do this tomorrow, and this will essentially just take the ID from the request and pull the note from the DB and return the encrypted message. Because remember, we don't store the decryption key. The decryption key is generated on the client, and the client essentially, when the user creates a note, they sort of add a password. So they'll do something like noface create note, whatever, content, blah blah blah, and then the password is going to be user generated, right? And so what's going to happen is we'll encrypt that payload. We'll send the encrypted payload to the server, and then whoever's creating the message, they have to store that password, because what we return from this when we create the note is we generate a UUID, and then whoever you want to, the recipient will have to access the note at base URL /node/ID, or actually they won't have to. They'll do noface view note, right? And then they'll pass the UUID like this, and then they'll be prompted to type in the password. And if they don't have it, well, the note is lost. And of course, we delete the view if it's seen. So where's the get note by ID? Delete the view. Hoping that you keep track of whose message it is, thus allowing the user to see all notes. That way they won't lose notes. Oh, that's actually a very interesting point. That's actually an interesting point, yeah. I haven't thought of that. We need to delete the message first, because well, thank you. Thank you, Former Goose. Delete the note. So essentially, when you access the note, boom, it's deleted. But hoping they keep track of whose messages. Well, actually, we're not using. It's completely schemaless. So we're essentially cloning this, right? And so you say blah, blah. You create an optional password, so hello 123, and then we'll set it to 7 days, and then it generates a UUID, and then you can access it like so, right? And then you click show me the note, but then you have to enter the password, hello 1 2 3, and bam. And now the node is deleted. If we refresh, it's gone. So, but there's no user authentication or anything like that. So also, I think DynamoDB has a TTL thing. Let's do DynamoDB TTL. Time to live, yeah. And sort of you can self-destruct objects after a certain period of time. Where is it? Yeah, as items are deleted from the table, 2 background operations happen simultaneously. Items are removed from secondary index and global index. This operation comes at no extra cost. A delete operation for each item enters the DynamoDB stream, but is tagged as system delete, blah blah blah. But I suppose when we create an object, we can then sort of attach a time to live, and then for each new created item, oh no, actually no, it's on the table. If we go to Terraform, DynamoDB table, yeah, TTL. Oh no, okay, no, yeah, no. So you can do TTL and then give it an attribute, time to exist. Hang on, what? No, let's do TTL. Configuration block for TTL. See below. Enable name of the table attribute to store in the TTL timestamp. Oh, okay. So you don't delete the entire object, you delete an attribute. That's interesting. Well, I guess we'll have to, or maybe what we can do is let's go back. When we get the note, we compare the timestamp of the request with the TTL of the note, and if expired, we return 44 not found, and we delete it. Yep. No, I think you do delete the entry. As I understand it, the colon is used to save the timestamp, which is used to determine if the TTL has expired. Oh, okay. Oh, I see. Let's go back and see. We had the let's pull the documentation. Time to live example. For example, time session data tracks the session history of users. Each item in session data is identified with the partition key and the sort key. Additional attributes like and expiration time track the session. The expiration time attribute is set as a DTL on the table. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Actually, you're right. Okay, so that's the expiration time, and then past that point, it's nuked from. So the entire entry is nuked. Okay. Yeah, because they're unique. You can you know exactly which one is deleted. Okay, so maybe we'll use that instead of having to do it in the code. Or is it? Yeah, maybe we'll use this actually. So when the user was burn a note, what happened to burn a note? Let's go back to burn a note. Nope. burner note.com. Yeah, so they still auto self-destruct. We'll take this, convert it to timestamp, and then we'll set it. We'll set it as. Oh, okay. Now I get it. So let's go back here. DynamoDB. So if we add a TTL here, let's actually do that now. Boom. TTL. Boom, boom, boom. Yep, that's the one. All right. So we'll do, oops. We'll call it expiration date. Note expiration date. And we'll enable it to true. What's going to happen is when we create the note, we set note expiration date to now plus 7 days unless specified by the user, so that we don't have to do this whole logic in the get function where we compare the timestamp essentially. All right, well, thanks for input, CPT Pi. Thank you. Right, so I mean, for the first time we've accomplished a lot, because from essentially zero AWS knowledge, we've been able to create a complete infrastructure from scratch. So we've been able to do this whole thing. DynamoDB, we've got the Lambda working. We have AWS API gateway setup, and I think it's going to be good for now. We can use the ugly URL for now, and then we'll set up Route 53. I'm mostly still unsure if it deletes the entry or not, but I would assume it does. Yeah, well, I think we'll run some tests tomorrow. Yeah, we'll run some tests tomorrow. We'll see if it actually works or not. We'll set a TTL to 10 minutes or something like that, or I don't know, a minute or two, and then we'll see. And then after that, we'll do Route 53 with the, but I still have to buy the domain. Is it still? Yep, no face, no case. Fuego wasn't available. So yeah, I mean, it's a pretty common word too. Do they sell .sh? Ah, yeah, it's 35 quid. Do I really want to spend 35 quid? You know, I'll go with X. Is it? I think we have FYI. Huh? FYI, yeah. No. XYZ seems well, it's cheaper too. Oh no, yeah, I forgot FYI. Yeah, they're all taken. Fuego.info 1300. What? 5K. The rest of them are taken, so yeah, no face, no case. Even though it's it sounds shady, and I'm probably gonna have the feds all up my case, but and they have my face too now. But hey, you know, we're gonna have fun. So we'll buy this tomorrow, and then we'll crack on with the rest. So we've listed features. We'll create a model, and then we'll create a basic Lambda functionality. And as I said, we'll have a basic switch case, or maybe we'll extract it here. We'll have like a func router, and this is essentially gonna switch, I think it's events, let's see, it's request dot HTTP method, and it's a string, so we'll go method string. I don't think it returns anything, and then we'll say we'll do switch. What switch? So it's going to be method, and if the condition is get, we'll do what? Vim, stop being funny. All right, so we'll have we'll call controllers dot get no by ID. Oops. And if the case is post, we'll have create node, I think. Golang has constants. Oh, hello. Let's try that. Oh, you mean http.get method get. Brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Case. Oh, okay, and then we can do this. Method post. Like that. And this is going to be create node. And we'll have a default. Doesn't have a default. There's a case default. Nope. Nope. That's case default. Nope. How does that work? Golang default switch case. Oh. I'm thinking in JavaScript. Default, there we go. Thank you, thank you. And then we'll have controllers. Whoops. Let's do controllers dot. What can we do here? I think it's method not allowed, because it's either get or post. Yeah, we'll do a method not allowed. Controls dot method not allowed. And so we'll go and create a file called default response.go. Default response, and then we'll do package controllers func default response, and we'll, for now we'll just do fmt dot print line method not allowed. Method not allowed. Return 405. Okay, and this is going to return, I think, an events dot proxy response, API gateway proxy response. Okay, well then let's just do response equals events dot API gateway proxy response. The status code is going to be http dot method post get connect delete. Well, let's do right. Let's do 4 or 5. I need to rename the controller call in a switch case of the function declaration. At the moment you call a function doesn't exist. Oh, hello. Did I? Oh, nice catch. Nice catch. Yep. So we'll return the response. Yeah, we don't need a body because it's method not allowed. Okay, so we don't need HTTP, and we don't need to print because we don't want to use CloudWatch. Alright, so that's one method done. Should be HTTP stat. Oh, okay. Oh, in status I used method. Ugh. Of course. I mean, it's super late. YM. HTTP status not allowed. Not allowed. Method not allowed. There we go. Oh, yeah. Trailing comma, of course. Okay, default response. That's good. Okay, so we have that. And I guess we need to control. Okay, so we can get rid of this now. Yeah, we can get rid of this. Okay, and we will call the router. Should we call the router here? So all of these, okay, all of these will return an events dot proxy response. So we'll create very basic responses for now, because I'm gonna have to go, but let's do this. HTTP. We'll do body created. This is going to be status created. Nope, actually that's okay. Of course, we need to check if expired return or if not found return 44, of course. Return 44. So we'll do the checks tomorrow. So body, hey, here's your note, and trailing comma. We'll copy this and we'll go to create note, and this time we'll import HTTP2 and we'll events dot proxy response, and that's going to be status status created and created, like that. All right, so I think we have the skeleton for what we're going to need, because all of these methods will return an API gateway response. Well, we can essentially just call router. I think so. yeah, we can just call router with the method here. So we'll pass request dot method. Hang on, HTTP method. And then we'll do nope. Okay, but this needs to, oh, hang on, we don't need a router, we can just put everything here, right? We can put the switch, let's see, we can put the switch here, and then not have this return anything. So it's going to be request dot HTTP method. I don't know. Maybe I should return here. Yeah, let's do this. And then I can do return. Hang on. Oh, nil. Yeah. So we can get rid of this. And so now everything works just fine because we take the method from the request, we pass it through the switch, and then if it's a get method, we get the node by ID. We're gonna have to pass it the request. If it's a method post, we'll pass it the request, and we'll create a node, so we'll pass the body. And if it's neither, we'll do the default response 405. All right, so I think we're good for now. So we'll create the model, and then we'll do create node logic, create node functionality. Then we'll do create get node functionality. It'd probably be better to have the controller functions return errors, or nil if fine, but for now the static nil error return. Oh, you mean like this? So something like that, right? Yeah. Well, not nil, but error. And then do this. My reasoning was that if anything inside the request fails, we would return an API gateway proxy response with an error code like 404 or I don't know 43 or 500. But I guess yeah, no, I think you're right. So we can essentially just have our own errors for each controller. Oops. So we'll do error. What? Error, and then we'll do response nil for now. And this, I guess, we'll have one too, for good measure, right? Boom, nil, great. So error nil, and error nil. Yeah, that I was just gonna say that. I was gonna say unless we want to log the errors and then send them somewhere. You are absolutely correct. It didn't occur to me. So now, why is it complaining? Oh. Well, hang on. I mean, we return. Oh, but it's too. It's okay. What? So now we have to do res error like that, and then we return res hang on. Two valued controls where a single value is expected. What? Oh. But don't we have to do this? Like because this returns an error, presumably we would have to do something like res error blah, and then if error is not equal to nil, then do something. Because what happens if we actually get an error here? Like for example, if we do decide to return an error, depending on how you want to handle stuff and what calls your main function, you can technically just pipe it through your main function. Oh yeah, okay, I see. Let's go to my main, because my main essentially just is a lambda.start, and then it calls this, and this returns an API gateway proxy response. So yeah, I think we'll log the errors if we have any. And then we'll I think it's CloudWatch for error logging, so maybe we'll hook that up too. Yeah. Well, I've never worked with that tech stack either. It's it's a first time for me too. I'm learning as I go. It's not so much about the logic. The point is to learn AWS and Terraform, and not so much Go. I've picked Go because it's something that I'm aiming to learn sort of long term. But yeah, you're right. So we're gonna learn as we go. All right. So, I mean, we've done a lot of changes. We've added variables. Let's do git add infra main.tf infra infra variables.tf. So we'll commit it, not git add commit, we'll do git commit. So we've added DynamoDB TTL and API gateway integration. All right, and then we'll do there's a created basic skeleton for the API. We'll push this. Because beautiful language, in my opinion, the main thing that sold me is that language forces you to care about errors, which in turn improve code quality. Yeah, I've noticed that too, as opposed to things like Python or JavaScript, where you have to, where you can just essentially just do try except everywhere. At least now, like for every error, you have to handle it manually. I have actually written 2-3 APIs now in Go. And it's true, like for almost every couple of blocks I have an error checking block, and because every error is different, has a different type, well then when you read the code, when you scan the code, you know exactly what's going on. It makes things sort of much easier to reason about if you have to sort of be introduced to a new code base. So yeah. All right. So I think I'm gonna call it for tonight. Let's go back. Yep. All right. So get node model. We'll create the model. This is what actually the model comes first, and we'll do this, we'll do that. I'm gonna buy the domain tomorrow morning, and then we'll write unit test. I mean, I found an example. Did I? Yeah, I think that's the one. I think that's the one that had a main test. Yeah, because I've always wondered, how do you test a Lambda function because you're not running it locally? Test requests. So you create an anonymous struct with a request, expect error, and so you can pass the body. Okay, hello Paul, blah. Test that the handler responds with error name not provided when no name is provided in HTTP body. Okay, and then for each test you can, okay, you have it. Okay, you add an expect block, and then you test for the type, and you test that the expect is actually equal to the response body. I wonder how, if this is a mock, because I mean, you would have to run the Lambda. Oh no, okay. Response error, main handler. Let's see. Yep. Okay. Oh yeah, I was right. So we can log to CloudWatch, and I think they're captured automatically, so that's good. Great stuff. All right, well, I'm gonna leave it for tonight. We'll come back tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, I'll come back tomorrow evening, and I'll pick up where I've left off. So, well, CPT Pi, thank you for the help. I hope to see you soon so we can have fun. Formal Goose, Super Ambition. Cheers, guys and girls. And if Aten and Eve Nero are not bots, well, thank you too. And I'll see you soon. Cheers.